So another early start for another early flight. Today I'm flying from London Gatwick to Gibraltar, and I'll be travelling with easyJet. Very interested to see the impact of the current situation on both Gatwick Airport and on easyJet as a carrier. So come along with me.
Hi, I'm Matt. Over the last 25 years, I've travelled a lot. I've lived in 5 countries on 4 continents. I've flown over 1.3 million miles. I've visited over 100 countries, every American state, but I'm nowhere near done. So hit subscribe to see where I go next, and perhaps get some inspiration for your next trip.
Another early start, so once again the best way to cover the 72 miles to Gatwick was to drive myself. Unhelpfully, the M23 intersection with the M25 was closed, so I was diverted down back roads, which slowed me down a bit, but it was a smooth journey. All flights at Gatwick are currently departing from the North Terminal, which is easyJet's home at the airport. Early on in the crisis, BA chose to prioritise its dominant position at Heathrow, so mothballed its operations at Gatwick, threatening to never go back, although some long-haul flights are now back at the airport. So it comes as no surprise that Gatwick chose to keep easyJet happy and operate from the North Terminal. They need to keep the South Terminal partially open though, as the mainline railway station is located there. Having explored the parking options, I'd noticed that it was only a few pounds more to park at the short-term parking facility at the South Terminal versus the long-term parking at the North Terminal. This is a far more convenient option, as the car park is right next to the terminal building, even if you then have to take the inter-terminal train. So after a somewhat surreal transit through a deserted South Terminal, the inter-terminal train quickly brought me to the easyJet check-in area at the North Terminal. There was a bit of life at the North Terminal. Quite a few passengers, even at this early hour. Quite a lot of communication as to what was expected of passengers in the current circumstances. I've always quite liked the way Gatwick handles its passengers. Obviously there's no comparison with the first wing at Heathrow Terminal 5, but Gatwick has always seemed willing to invest in the staff and equipment necessary to get passengers through the formalities efficiently. Today was no exception, and in just a few minutes I was through into the duty-free area, as is the current fashion in airport design. I'd had the opportunity to buy access to a lounge when I'd booked my parking, and there are plenty of other options online to pre-purchase access, around £21 per person for the Club Aspire lounge and around £32 for the number 1 lounge. I believe both would be available to those who are part of the Priority Pass scheme. I couldn't see value in that at that time of the morning, so instead I invested £3 in a sausage and egg thing from Pret A Manger, as I wasn't that excited about what options would be available on the plane. I must quickly mention the absolutely atrocious exchange rates available at the airside kiosks. I've blurred out the name of the company to save their blushes. They have to pay retail rents to the airport for the space, which alongside staffing and other costs means you'd expect an inferior spread to that which you might obtain elsewhere. But to have a 58% spread on the euro or a 100% spread on the Moroccan dirham is bordering on the outrageous. Do not buy currency at the airport. Before long, it was time to head to the gate. Most retailers were open, and although it was very quiet, passing through the terminal did feel relatively normal. I'll make a separate video to compare and contrast the services offered by easyJet and BA, as well as the countries I visited and the airports I've transited. But for now, easyJet has chosen to maintain its speedy boarding product, although it didn't offer any great time saving when I arrived at the gate. Gibraltar requires a passenger locator form to be completed, but as it's a physical form that can be easily completed on arrival in Gibraltar, there were no compliance checks at the gate. Very rapidly, the speedy boarding passengers were called forward, and then us regular folk. Boarding was across the tarmac, which was quite pleasant even if it may not be in less clement weather. Our plane today was an Airbus A319, which had been in easyJet's fleet since 2006. Only the forward door was in use. Speedy boarding meant that there was a reasonable amount of passenger crossover, at least in the front of the cabin, although mask use was obligatory and was well observed. I'd selected a seat towards the back for filming purposes, 23F to be precise. 29 inches of legroom, which once again presented a challenge to my 31-inch thigh bones, but the plane was not completely full, and although the middle seat was occupied for takeoff, the occupant kindly moved shortly afterwards, which gave my legs a seat each. For me, this was flight number 761, and on it I saw something I'd never seen before. Not sure how this fellow got in there. Can't believe he'd been there since the plane was built 14 years ago. Our routing today took us south out of the UK over Bournemouth. We crossed Brittany and the Bay of Biscay before reaching the Spanish coast just east of Santander. We crossed the coast again overhead Marbella before turning westward for landing. A single lav was located at the back of the plane with another at the front for the 156 passengers. As with their speedy boarding product, and unlike British Airways, easyJet has opted to pursue revenue rather than suspending activities leading to non-essential passenger-crew contact. In-flight magazines, however, were deemed too risky to offer during the pandemic, so we ended up with the slightly surreal situation of easyJet offering an in-flight service, but the passengers not knowing what was available. The flight attendants did a decent job of explaining the options, and the crew passed through the cabin twice with food and drinks for purchase, and a third time with duty-free and other stuff. No in-seat power and no Wi-Fi. Tricky to make an economy flight review sound interesting sometimes, so here are some clouds. Gibraltar Airport is an interesting place. The runway, despite being longer than most of the country it serves is wide, is only half the length of Gatwick's, and in poor weather it presents one of the trickiest landings in the world. Fortunately, that day the weather was glorious, although we did need to hit the brakes pretty hard after landing. The only road into and out of the territory crosses the runway, so has to be closed to traffic for landings. I walked into town after landing and walked across the runway we'd just landed on, which was a pretty cool experience. Look out for my video on what I've found in Gibraltar for more on this. Disembark planing was done through front and rear doors. The crew tried hard to herd the passengers off the plane in a controlled manner and were for the most part successful. Stepping into the Gibraltarian sun was really nice, and like a few others, I couldn't resist the selfie opportunity. Across the tarmac to the terminal. Passport control was pretty thorough. Everyone was questioned on whether they'd been to what Gibraltar has defined as a high-risk country in the previous 14 days, after which the locator form was collected and we were free to go. The airport considerately provided bottles of hand sanitizer for all arrivals, and within a few minutes I was out of the terminal and off to explore Gibraltar. But not before some closing thoughts.
So there you go. British Airways landed just a few minutes after us. Gotta love an airport with a viewing terrace. So a good flight from easyJet, about 30 minutes early, which is always a plus. Very comfortable. They take a slightly more relaxed revenue maximising approach to the current situation. The snack trolley went down twice, and there was a third pass through with various duty-free goods available, with 20% discount available this week only. So enjoyed my flight, and I'm now looking forward to spending a day or two in Gibraltar. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and please leave me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Goodbye.